Hi, it's Mandy here, and as you can see, today I am doing for the deck of the week the Moonology Oracle cards by Yasmin Boland. This is a lovely little deck. I think everyone should have this in their collection. It's been available for a few years now, so I'm sure a lot of people have already got it, but there's a whole lot that haven't. What I like about this deck, I think it's very well thought through. I think it's very simple. You don't need to be an experienced reader at all to get something from this deck immediately. It also, I think, is a nice intro into astrology. If you don't know anything about astrology, the moon can be a very good place to start. She does actually have a Moonology book that is worth purchasing as well, which I will show you later in the video. But here is the box for the Moonology deck, and inside the box, as well as the cards, which I've taken out already, you do get this lovely little book, Moonology Oracle cards. This is not the same as the Moonology book, where she will sort of teach you about Moonology and how to practice Moonology. This is just about the deck of cards, and it goes into further explanation about each of the cards, you know, and what they might mean. What's lovely about these cards is they do have a title written in words on them, and it will kind of like it will just give you something to trigger your intuition. You know, like for example, the first card in the deck, it's a 44 card deck, by the way, is the new moon card, and that would apply to any new moon, this particular card. So we do know that we will have like 12, maybe sometimes 13, but I don't want to confuse you, new moons every year. So again, this card is picking up the energy of a new moon, and every month, the moon is all about cycles. It's monthly cycles, and when it is the new moon, and you can just see that tiny little slither in the sky, it's about fresh start. You can have a fresh start once a month. You can have a fresh start. Let's be honest. You can have a fresh start anytime you like. You could say, in half an hour from now, I'm going to have a fresh start on my diet. You don't have to wait for the new moon to do it, but it's capturing that energy of a new moon. So that's the general new moon card. And this first little section of the Moonology deck goes through the 8 moon phases. And by the way, that just reminds me, the back of the cards shows the 8 moon phases, going from new moon to full moon and then back to new moon again. And basically what happens is, if you've ever kind of bothered to sort of like watch the moon, you start off with this little slither, and it gradually starts to kind of grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and 2 weeks later we will have the big full moon, and then it starts to shrink again in readiness to be the next new moon. And it just does that over and over again. That you know, the moon phase is a month, and that's been going on way longer than any of us were here, and will continue to do so. So the first moon phase after the new moon is called the waxing crescent moon, and it says have faith in your dreams. So in other words, you've already set your new moon intention on that new moon card. It's kind of like, right, I'm going to make a fresh start in half an hour. We're now a little kind of like little way into it, and it's kind of like, have faith in it, keep going, don't lose sight of it. That's what that card means. Your commitment is being tested. It's now the first quarter moon. So as you can see in the picture, it's halfway between being a new moon and a full moon. Your commitment is being tested. So I know, oh gosh, I really, really know what it's like when you say, I'm definitely going to do something. I'm going to start this diet. I'm going to start this exercise routine or whatever. And then, you know, you will literally get a little way into it, and it's like, oh, I can't be bothered to do it today. So this is a reminder. If this card comes up in your oracle reading, your commitment is being tested. It has the energy of the first quarter moon. The next phase it goes to is the gibbous moon. Okay, so I can't speak. The moon is still waxing at this point. So as the moon grows from a new moon to a full moon, it's called a waxing moon. Okay, you know, it's gathering, yeah, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, you're very close to achieving your goal, so it's kind of like really, really encouraging you, because you're nearly there at the full moon, when everything is kind of like bursting and everything is apparent. That's that next, the flavor of that next card. You're very close to achieving your goal. Surrender to the divine, the full moon. We've arrived 2 weeks later at the full moon, and I kind of like feel some of those full moons, you know, when we're lucky enough not to have clouds, they are absolutely magnificent, those full moons in the sky. And it's, you know, you could turn all of the kind of the lampposts off or whatever around you when you've got a clear night. The moon will light everything up for you. And, you know, if you think back to like the olden days, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have street lamps. They relied on the seasons of the moon to do their farming, to know what, I don't know, like where it was in the sky, what time of year it was. They got a lot of information from the moon because it is the closest thing to us. And bear in mind as well that the moon is, it doesn't produce its own light, it's reflecting the light of the sun. It's and the full moon is when the sun is the other side of the earth to the moon, and so the light of the sun is hitting the moon fully. When the moon is the same side of the earth as the sun, and it kind of is right in front of the sun, if you like, or in the same alignment as the sun, that's when we can't see it, because the sun is hitting the back of the moon. But I don't want to confuse you. So the full moon card here is surrender to the divine. Everything's reached its peak. Now, it's then immediately starts to wane, which means that the moon starts to shrink again, ready to become a new moon again 2 weeks later. So adjustments are required. So it's saying it's reached its peak. So what's going to happen next? What do you need to tweak? What do you need to adjust? Where do you go with your plan now? Okay, so you have to kind of, as I say, you've got the little guidebook that will kind of give you more information on how to interpret these cards. It's very, very simple. This is really, really kind of easy. All you have to do is relate it to your question, to your situation. Adjustments are required, like literally take that at face value for whatever it is you're asking about. Okay, a time for healing, the balsamic moon. Balsamic, I mean, oh, I don't know, I just think of massages and all of that sort of thing. But as you can see in the picture, the moon is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So it's time to kind of like wind it down. And the next card on this little section of the cards, we would be back to the new moon again. Okay, so that's the first 8 cards. Then she does one card for every new moon and every full moon. Now, this is where the astrology comes in and where you could start to learn a bit about astrology. Okay, so basically, Yasmin will give us one card for every star sign, because as the moon does its own cycle where it grows from new to full and back to new again, it is also moving through the 12 signs of the zodiac. So if the moon was in Aries, next month it will actually be in the area of the sky that is next to Aries, which is Taurus, and so on. And each one of these star signs has got its own kind of set of energy. That, you know, the Aries energy is a different type of energy to a Taurus energy. So it's time to take action. New moon in Aries, that captures the general energy, and it is general, of the sign of Aries. So this is what I'm saying, like if you had this deck and if you had that Moonology book as well, you would start to learn something about what each of those particular star signs mean, because you would be wise, if you're doing moon work, to adapt your intention, like what you're going to do on this particular new moon, to the energy of the sign that the moon is in. Okay, that's just a little general hint there. or you can literally just read these as oracle cards, face value. It's time to take action. Maybe you had a great idea for a while and you've been playing around with it. It's now time to do something about it. Put it into action. New moon in Taurus. Prosperity lies ahead. Taurus is all about things. It's an earth sign. It's about your income. It's things that you can quantify. It's, you know, it's your house, where you live, your job. Prosperity lies ahead. Lovely. And it might be that you're doing your readings because you're asking for some advice. You might be asking for a prediction. You might be saying, what is going to happen with my relationship, for example? Oh, I've got here the new moon in Cancer. They're out of order a little bit, but no doubt the Gemini one will be somewhere. I'm not going to worry about it now. You and your loved ones are safe. Cancer is all about the family. Okay. So if you were saying, I need some advice about my family, and that card happened to come up, that would be saying, you don't worry about your family, you're all safe. Or it might be saying, make sure, it might be coming up as an advice card saying, make sure you keep, you know, that you don't take any risks at the moment. It will all relate back to the question. Confidence is your key to success. New moon in Leo. Leo is a very, very confident, dynamic sign. It's all about like just keeping that energy going. So it's be brave, be bold, and it will lead to success. These are not hard cards to read. New moon in Virgo, a time to give rather than take. Virgo is a very generous, caring sign. I don't know, the new moon might be saying to you, or this particular card, go and do a random act of kindness. It will pay off. I'm literally just coming out with whatever comes into my head that relates to these cards. New moon, a new beginning in the sign of Libra. A new romantic cycle begins. A lot of people would be very happy to hear that. That could be relating to a new relationship or an existing relationship, or, you know, or it could be relating to something that's not even about a relationship, but that's more to do with triggering kind of what you consider to be romantic. It might be listening to kind of lovely music, or watching your favorite rom-com or something like that. It's bringing out the romantic side of you. I love that card. I love that card. Go with romance rather than practical things. Work through your fears. New moon in Scorpio. Scorpio can be brilliantly challenging and make you sort of like dig deep and look a little bit deeper into things, and maybe things that you kind of wanted to pretend weren't happening or kind of leave for another time. Dig deep, investigate once and for all, bring some things out into the open. That you know, that could be an amazing beneficial energy for some people. New moon in Gemini. I knew it would turn up somewhere. Communication is key, it says on that one. So it's reach out, get in touch, pick up the phone, send a text message. Communication is key. And it's a new moon, so it's telling you to kind of take that first move, or kind of just be clear in your communications. Luck is on your side. New moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. Jupiter's a very positive energy. So it's luck is on your side. It's kind of good fortune. That's what we all want to hear. I think we'll all jump up and down when that comes up in our readings. And remember, the readings are always answering the question that you have asked. Your question could literally be, what sort of day am I going to have? Or how will I get on? If I make this phone call, you know, to this person, how is it going to go? Luck is on your side. Go for it. New moon in Capricorn, very ambitious. Your hard work is paying off, okay? Again, if you've put a lot of effort into something, you need that bit of encouragement to kind of keep you going. You know, give it an extra boost. Do something else for this project. I'm being really, really quick here. And what I'm saying here are not the definitive answers. The answers have to come from you. But I'm just kind of indicating how easy these cards are to read and how you can kind of like answer any question with them or get some advice from them. They are oracle cards, you know, and You do have the little book as well to help you. Bring love into the situation. New moon in Aquarius. Now, the thing with Aquarius is, Aquarius is a very friendly sign on a bigger sort of scale. It's all to do with groups of friends, groups of people. Yeah, I mean, I'm liking the fact that Yasmin says bring love into the situation. I think I would more go, if I got a new moon in Aquarius card coming up, with thinking about friendship groups or groups of people that I know that I have commonalities with, that sort of thing. But yes, Aquarius is very, very friendly. It's very likable. And it's very kind of thinks out of the box. So yeah. And humanitarian. I think that might be where she's coming from with the bring love into the situation. She is, yeah, Aquarius is a kind sign that kind of wants things for the greater good. Meditate and contemplate in the dreamy new moon in Pisces. So yes, maybe it's saying start a new regime with kind of like things such as meditation, that sort of thing. Get some crystals. Yeah, chill out. Yeah, spend a little bit of quiet time with your higher power every day. And then it moves on to the kind of the full moon card. This is when you've done your new moon intentions, you've got your kind of thing going. The energy of the full moons is when things reach a kind of like a climax. They reach a peak. You can actually kind of see them. It's bright, it's lit up. A fiery climax approaches, full moon in Aries, but a fiery climax approaches. What does that mean to you? You know, is this going to kind of like, I don't know, is this thing going to result in a big argument? But on the other hand, is it just going to be like full of life and, you know, it's just full of enthusiasm? It just depends how you interpret it. Your dreams need a practical plan. Back to the full moon in Taurus. So again, it's like your dreams are actually becoming a reality, a practical plan. Now it's time to actually kind of like organize things, give some sort of structure to whatever it is that you're doing, and it could really, really pay off. The answers you need are coming. The full moon in Gemini. So again, it's that communication sign, and maybe it's saying you need to do some more research. It's kind of like, in order for your plan to be complete, I think you've already made a good start. You've asked the questions, and I kind of like, now you are finding the answers. I like that. I like that a lot. A personal issue reaches resolution, full moon in Cancer. So once again, this is back to the family situation. And this is really, really suggesting that whatever is going on with a close family member, it resolves. I like that. That's what I would get from that card coming up. Or it could be coming up as advice saying, you know, face the music, go and sort it out. But your objective is to find an absolute, rather than have an argument about it or a fight or everybody blaming each other, sit down, talk about it and resolve it. So it's over and done with on that full moon, and then chuck out all the rest of the stuff, because the full moon is a really good time for letting go of what you don't need, of what isn't working. Don't let pride get in your way. Full moon in Leo. Leo can be so confident and so positive. Yeah, and I think sometimes egos can get in the way of what is actually going to bring the most progress to something. So don't let pride get in your way. That's kind of a little bit of a warning sign that you might be your own worst enemy. Yeah. So just re-look at that. You are good enough. Full moon in Virgo. Now, Virgo is all about the smaller details. Virgo will kind of, you know, you can overthink things, Virgos, okay? But we all have Virgo in us. Well, I'm not accusing everyone who's got the sun in Virgo that they're being like this. We've all got Virgo somewhere in our charts. And this oracle card is triggering wherever the Virgo may be in your chart, or the chart of who you are reading for. So you are good enough. This is encouraging you to say, don't have some little thing that made you feel a bit disappointed in yourself get in the way and tell you that you're not good enough to achieve this thing. You are good enough. Full moon in Libra, that balanced one again, a win-win outcome is forecast. These cards speak for themselves. Full moon in Libra, you know, once we get to the kind of the, you know, the point of reckoning, you know, everything will be balanced. It's time to release negativity. Full moon in Scorpio. How powerful is that? You know, if that comes up in your reading, you're being negative, face it, let it go. It's not doing any good. I think these cards are great. Thank you, Yasmin. I think they are really, really great. Look at the bigger picture. Full moon in Sagittarius. There we go again. Look at the bigger picture. You know, sometimes if we're just looking at the tiny little thing that is kind of annoying us, you don't know what you're kind of going to sacrifice. Maybe you need to compromise on this little thing because the bigger picture is worth it. So, fantastic piece of advice there. The end of a rough cycle or a tough cycle approaches. Full moon in Capricorn. So, yeah, I mean, as I say, Capricorn is this very hardworking, ambitious sign, and if you are ambitious and you're putting yourself out there, that can be a lot of pressure. So the end of a tough cycle approaches. Full moon in Capricorn could be again about letting go of some of the things, like recognizing what they are, letting go of some of the things that are standing in your way of achieving that. I love this. Show the world the real you. Full moon in Aquarius. I mean, how amazing is that? And I think that's easier for some people than others to actually do that. Show the world the real you. Think about that. And the last of the full moon cards are balance, spirituality and practicality. Full moon in Pisces. Yes, Pisces can be very, very kind of dreamy and imaginative, and you know, you can be away with the fairies and away with the clouds, and that's lovely. And I think that's important for everybody to go there sometimes. But it is saying here balance, spirituality and practicality for the full moon in Pisces. Very nice. And you might kind of like feel, I don't know, you might feel you want to kind of twist the cards around and read them in reverse. I'm very much in favour of being a reverse card reader. I love reading reversals. I don't know whether this deck is right to read in reverse, if I'm really, really honest. I'm open to kind of like persuasion here, but I do tend to read these upright. If I'm doing a full reading, for me personally, I would use my tarot cards. They have got kind of like more depth to them. Sometimes you just need something short and punchy and to the point. So I think the oracle cards, and in particular these Moonology cards, are a really good addition to a tarot reading, just to kind of like tie it all up. So I'm not doing big spreads with these. I am literally doing maybe one, maybe two Moonology cards at a time, you know, at the most. But that's just me. There's nothing to stop you doing a bigger spread with these cards. Okay, so the last little lot of cards that she's got are more unusual type of moon situations. So she talks about the new moon eclipse and also the full moon eclipse. And when there is an eclipse, whatever your intentions are or your moon work is, or whatever you're kind of like, when you're having a little meditation with the moon, it's got a bit more oomph to it and a bit more power to it than your regular monthly cycles of new and full moons. So expect powerful change on a new moon eclipse. So if that card comes up, it's saying, you know, go for this new idea and really expect, you know, allow yourself to expect that this is going to kind of like be something really, really powerful. The full moon eclipse in conclusions are within reach. That is kind of like suggesting that the full moon is going to be particularly powerful, and you can, when you get to that full moon, you can virtually see it, feel it, touch it. It's going to have more power to it than the average full moon. The waxing moon, as I said earlier on, the waxing phase is when it goes from a new moon as it grows before it gets to the full moon. It's waxing, and the waning phase is as it's kind of like shrinking and it's waning. The energy is gaining momentum. That's a perfect kind of, you know, capturing it all together. The energy is gaining momentum. So you could think about that over something that might take two weeks to kind of like really establish itself, that you, yeah, if that card comes up, it's come up with the energy of a growing waxing moon. What do you need to release? The waning moon. It's really important that as that winds down, ready to do another new moon phase, that you do need to kind of like look at what isn't working, what needs to change, or what's standing in the way of it working as well as it could, and release. You don't have to be angry about it. All you need to do is say, I'm going to kind of like push that to the side. I don't need that within this project or this situation anymore, or certainly at the moment. That's what this is telling you. What do you need to release? Think about that. Declutter. Void of course moon. I'm not going to get into what that means astrologically. Way too complicated for this. I just don't want to confuse people. But it's basically a moon that kind of like in that moment of time is not it doesn't have, its rays are not connecting with anything for a kind of a certain amount of time. So it's saying nothing will come of this situation. It's not making at this moment in time, it's not kind of making the right impact or the right connections. Maybe you need to rethink. Cardinal moon. So cardinals are about big, bold, fresh starts. Be bold and make the first move. Simple as that. Cardinal, go for it. If you don't go for it, it's not going to happen, right? Cardinal gets things started. Cardinal goes on to fixed moons. It's kind of, you've got it started. You've got something. It already exists. Now, hold on to it. It's there. What do you do with it now that you've actually got it? Fixed moon. Mutable moon. Nothing is yet set in stone. That means it's adaptable, it's changeable. It may have versatility. There may be a better way of doing it. It may be better than you even imagined it. Or maybe it's kind of like, it's still uncertain. It's still uncertain. It's not stable yet. So again, it depends how you look at that. So don't just look at these words and immediately kind of like, oh, that's what that means every time you read the card. Sometimes what she's put and what she has in the book can be taken in a few different ways. You will develop this the more you use the cards. Emotions are running high. Super moon. Okay, so this is a big, huge moon, because the moon is not always the same distance from the earth. Sometimes it's a little bit nearer, sometimes it's a little bit further away. Can't speak. Emotions are running high. Interpret that however you feel is appropriate to your question. Blue moon, believe in the impossible. So yeah, we've all heard the saying once in a blue moon. So sometimes you will get a month and the moon, let's just say there was a new moon in Aquarius for argument's sake, right at the very, very beginning of the month. Then at the end of the moon, when it's the next new moon, it just happens to be in Aquarius again. That's kind of, that does happen very occasionally, that you will get a new moon or a full moon, whatever, twice in the same sign, because first time it was right at the beginning and the second time it was right at the end. So believe in the impossible. It's not impossible for that to happen, you know, but it doesn't happen all the time. So we've all got to believe in the impossible, because the impossible does happen. Don't let your past hold you back. So the last two cards are relating to the South and the North Node. And these are areas in the sky that relate to where the sun and the moon sort of, their paths cross. Okay, very scientific. But the South Node is kind of, the suggestion here is what you come into this world with, like what you already have, okay? And the North Node is what you could aspire to if you kind of make the right choices and luck is on your side, whatever. So that they are completely opposite each other, the South and the North Node. They're on an axis. And the idea is that our lives kind of like, we will evolve from the South Node to the North Node. Very, very simple explanation. Don't let your past hold you back. What a wonderful thing to come up in a reading, because, you know, sometimes we do cling on to things from the past, or we just assume that every new situation is echoes of what happened in the past. And this is saying, no, you know, don't be held back by that. So I think last but not least, step out of your comfort zone, the North Node, to achieve that evolution. You know, sometimes we do need to kind of, it's easy to cling on to that past. It's easy to cling on to that familiarity and where we're most comfortable. But, you know, sometimes if we just take that leap of faith and go where we are supposed to be going, or where we're heading for, we may never look back. So there you have it. The Moonology deck by Yasmin Boland. We've got the link up here. You can order it on Amazon. It's not an expensive deck. Honestly, have it. Honestly, have it in your collection. I'm just going to pause for a moment, just for one moment, while I quickly get the book. So, yeah, here it is. It's the Moonology book, Working with the Magic and the Lunar Cycles, okay, by Yasmin. Okay, as I say, you don't need the book at all in order to own and read the cards. They are a separate thing, but obviously they do relate to the information in this book. I think this is a really good book for anyone who wants to get, you know, a bit of knowledge about the moon, what sort of things you can do as the kind of, you know, regular thing for new moons and full moon rituals. And it will start to give you familiarity with astrology. Now, just to kind of like emphasize as well, if you don't know where your moon is in your birth chart, just kind of like message us with your date, ideally the time of birth as well, just in case your moon is on a cusp or something. But if we've got the date, time and place of birth, we can tell you where your moon is, and you can look out for your particular moon, you know, which would be a really, really nice place to start. So I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed this podcast, and we do videos, all four of us at the Pomegranate Grove team. We do them every new moon and every full moon. So every 2 weeks there is a new video where we do tarot readings relating to that particular new or full moon, and you can relate that to your sun sign, or if you know it, your moon sign, and get our kind of like reading for you, and maybe tie it in with a Moonology reading of your own. So there we have it. Hope you enjoyed it. See you the next time. Bye for now.